Hello everybody and welcome back to another My Porch Prints tutorials. Today we are doing a tag and pocket decorating tutorial for our mini suitcase series that we've been working on. Thanks everyone for being patient with this coming out. I actually ended up spraining my ankle last weekend and wasn't able to drive into work to work on this, so I'm finally getting it done this week, so thank you so much for sticking around and watching. Alright, so to get started, we will be going in with our suitcase that we made last week. If you haven't already made this, you can go check that video out. I should have a link for it somewhere on the screen and also down below. So it'll have all the instructions you need on how to make the kit. Okay, so to get started, we're going to open up to the first page of our book, and we're going to be making this little envelope and lace pocket. And if this looks familiar to some of you, you've probably seen our lace window tutorial and our layered embellishments video, which is exactly where I got the ideas for these. If you have seen the layered embellishment video, you might have already gotten that kit, and to make the envelope, it might just be easier to print that kit at a smaller size and fold it from there. But if you don't have that kit or you just want to see a different way to do it, I'll be showing you that now. So you're going to need a piece of paper. I'm using a coffee dyed piece of paper, just a 8.5 by 11 that I had lying around. And I'm going to be measuring this envelope out. It took me a while to sort of figure out what I wanted, but I decided 2 inches by 1.5 inches seemed to work perfect. So 2 inches across and 1.5 inches down. And we're going to move our ruler down to that second mark we made and do another 1.5 inches from there, since we'll be folding the envelope in half. And again, 2 inches across on the bottom. And then we'll just be connecting all of those dots and outlining the shape of the envelope. And for the top piece, we'll be making sort of a triangle shape or like an arrow shape. And mine's a little bit crooked, but it's okay, it's not very noticeable. So if yours is crooked too, don't worry. But if you can, try to get it a little bit straighter than I did. And we're just going to be cutting this out. And when you're done, you should have something like this. So it's pretty simple. You just fold it in half and fold the top triangle piece down to form the envelope shape. And I'm going to go ahead and do what we did in our layered embellishment video and cut a portion of the envelope out so that you can better see the flowers. Alright, when you're done, it should look something like this. And I'm going to go ahead and use Distress ink to ink the edges of my envelope, just to give it a little bit more of a aged and contrasted sort of look. And there you have it. So all we have to do now is glue these edges, and I'm using my finger to spread the glue, but you can use a brush if you feel more comfortable. Alright, and now all we have to do is glue it down to our page. So we're going to open up our book to the first page, and we're going to glue the envelope down in the center. I'm using tape because it's a bit cleaner, but you can use whatever you'd like. And I'm just going to take a few pieces of ephemera from our different packs that we have available on our shop. Links to all of these will be down in the description box below if you're interested in using the same things I did. And I'm just going to go ahead and arrange those on top of the envelope, sort of like the contents that were in the envelope, you know, and just tape those down. And then we're going to grab some of these Fussy Cut Flowers that you've probably seen me use lots of times before because I just think they're so pretty. And we're going to fill our envelope with those. Alright, and that is our first page done. So we're going to go ahead and move on to the second one, which is just taking this pocket and a hole punch. And we're going to be punching a hole sort of right out of the bottom center. And we're going to save the piece that we cut out because we'll be using that on a tag later on. And just taking a small piece of lace, we're going to be gluing that to the back of the pocket. And I'm just using clear gel tacky glue, but you can use whatever you have on hand. Tape would work as well. And I'm going to be taking some of this lace that I found at Walmart. It's just sort of a pink lace border, and I'll be putting that on the top. Cutting off any of the excess that is showing. And there you have it. A nice little see-through lace window pocket. Just going to go ahead and glue the sides and the bottom down to that page. And now you can see anything that you put into the pocket. It's going to be see-through for a little lace window effect. Alright, next thing we'll be doing are these 2 pages. So to start, you'll be needing a few different materials, a tag, some ribbon. Again, I got this one at Walmart, just in the clearance bin. I thought it was really pretty. And I'm going to measure it out so that it fits the bottom of the tag, since we'll be turning this into a pocket as well. And before we glue it on, we'll be decorating it. So you're going to want a journal word and a little ephemera piece. And I'm going to be taking a bit of sari silk from my scrap jar that I keep around. It's got some of these distressed edges, which is what I wanted to show. Alright, just cutting a small piece of the sari silk off and attaching it to our ribbon, and we'll be putting our ephemera piece on top of that. And next we're just going to go ahead and attach a little bit of cheesecloth on top of our ephemera piece, and then we'll be putting our journal word on top of that. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and attach this to our empty tag that we had earlier. And we're going to just be gluing down the sides and the bottom, leaving the top open to tuck ephemera pieces into. Okay, and the ephemera pieces I will be using today are these 3, and I'm going to be taking this like little rose tag one, and I'm just going to be adding a string to the top of it so it has kind of a cute little bookmark loop going on. I'll be using some hemp string for this since it's small and durable. And I didn't measure anything out, I just sort of eyeballed how much I would need. Tying it into a little loop and cutting off any extra. And I went ahead and moved mine so that the knot was kind of down behind the hole that we punched so you couldn't see it. A little bit of a cute dangly charm. And I'm going to flip to the next blank page and just go ahead and paste on our tag and tuck the little ephemera pieces into it. And I put it a bit low on the page since I'm going to go ahead and make a label for the top. And to do that, I just took a journal word from the kit and some lace and a little bit of this extra scrap paper I had lying around. Just gluing down the journal word to the scrap paper and cutting it out, leaving a small border around it. And I'm just going to tape that down onto the lace, cutting off a little bit of the extra so it looks like this. And I'm going to attach it in the top right corner, like so. And there you have it, another page done. So we're going to go ahead and move on to this second one. And for that, you're going to need all sorts of fun little pieces, journal words, tickets, ephemera tag. And we're using this piece of ephemera from the kit to make a makeshift pocket on the page because the ephemera piece fits perfectly. So we're just going to tape down the sides and the bottom and stick it on like so, making sure it's secure. And next we're going to decorate the tag. So I'm taking this stamp that came from a different kit. Link will be down in the description below. And I'm doing sort of a similar thing where I glue the sides and the bottom to make a pocket on the tag. Next we're going to work with these tickets, so I'm going to cut these out, and using a hole punch I'm going to punch all of the corners out to give it more of a ticket-like look. And I'm going to cut out these journal words as well, and I'll be using some distress ink to ink the edges of these words. And I'm going to be using cheesecloth to secure down the journal words to the ticket. So just layering those up with ticket, cheesecloth, then journal word on top. And you should have something like this. We're just going to do that to all the other tickets as well. Alright, now that we have all of our pieces, we're ready to secure them down to the page. So we're just going to tuck in those little tickets and find our little suitcase journal. We're just going to tuck it right down in there, like that. Okay, now that these are done, we can go ahead and flip through a couple of pages, trying to find another blank one to work on. And we're going to get started on these tags. So take out that pink lace from earlier, and we're going to use a little bit on the top of the page. So I already sort of pre-measured and know that it's about, 3 of these little frills long, but if you have any extra you can just take some scissors and cut that off, glue it down, make sure it's good and stuck, and we're going to set that aside and grab one of our blank tags, and we're going to use a hole punch to punch out this top notch and also 2 down in the corners of the tag. And using a little bit of pink ribbon, I would actually recommend cutting a piece longer than the one I used here because it was a bit tough to make a bow, but we're going to string that through those holes in the bottom and tie a double knot as tight as we can so it's as flat to the paper as we can get it, and using those little strings to tie a bow. So it was a bit difficult because I didn't have much there to work with, so make yours a bit longer, but it worked okay in the end. And we're going to go ahead and tape this down to the center of our page. And taking this little letter ephemera piece, we're just tucking it right into the ribbon there. Like so. Alright, starting on our second page, we're going to use all these little bits and baubles, some ephemera pieces, a ticket, a pocket, and a tag, as well as a Fussy Cut Flower. We're also going to be using some of this ribbon here, and for this process I went ahead and made a loop sort of as tall as I wanted it to be, just eyeballed it and marked off where I wanted to cut it. And we're going to use this piece as a guide for making the other 6 pieces, so you should have 7 in total when you are done. Alright, setting those aside and grabbing our tag, we're going to be using tape to tape across the front where we will be taping down the first side of our ribbon and also taping on the back. Now, if I was smart, I probably would have taped everything down on the front and then done the back, but oh well. I got stuck to the table, but it didn't tear or anything, so I was lucky. And we're just going to start with this center piece, taping it down in the front right like so, and then go ahead and secure the back the same way, and it should form this little loop. And we're going to take 4 more pieces and do the same thing. When you're done, you should have something like this. And we're using these last 2 pieces to cover up the bottom of the ribbon just to make it look a little bit cleaner on the front of our tag. And there you have it, the top of the tag is done. So for the bottom, I'm going to take one of these stamps and I'm going to just tape it right onto the tag. And don't worry about the color not matching, we're going to be covering that up with a little bit of this cheesecloth. Gluing that down. And also a ticket glued on top of that. And last but not least, a journal word taped in the center of all of that with a little embellishment right in the corner. And there you go, the tag is finished. So taking that pocket from earlier, we're just gonna tape it down. And using a little bit of cheesecloth and this little ephemera piece, we're going to create just a little embellishment right in the corner. Gluing down the cheesecloth and then gluing the ephemera piece right on top of that, like so. Alright, and next we're going to take our little fussy cut flower. I realized that the one I have here is a little too big, so I used one that was a bit smaller and just sort of taped it right down in the left corner of the pocket and tucked in the tag, and we're done. So next we're going to go ahead and get started on these 2 pages, which are some of my favorite pages that I made actually. And for that you're going to need a pocket, a tag, a journal word, a little ticket, another journal word, and a stamp, and another fussy cut flower, but a really small one. We're also going to be using a little bit of sari silk, a piece of cut ribbon or cloth, and a small long thin ribbon. And we're also going to be using these little scraps. Now these scraps come from our Feel Good journal kit, and I have a video on that. If you're interested, just click the link. But I really thought these were pretty and wanted to use them, so I'll be cutting them into thin strips. I didn't measure here, I kind of just eyeballed it, so they're not perfectly straight. If you want to use a ruler, you could do that. I would say they're probably maybe 1/4 of an inch, but I just went ahead and eyeballed it and it worked fine for me. And we're going to be using these to make belly bands that go across the tag. So just cutting them into 4 thin strips. Try to get them as straight as you can. And putting a little bit of tape down the sides of the tag and just sticking our little pieces of paper on. And we're going to go ahead and cut off the excess that is hanging onto the edges here, right up with the tag. Make sure it's flush, and there you have it, our belly bands are done. So taking a little bit of the scraps left over, we're going to make a label that goes on the top of the tag, and it's real simple. We're just taking one of the journal words and gluing it onto the scrap, cutting off any of the extra that is around it, leaving a very small border, just enough to see it so that it fits on top of our second border. Gluing that down and cutting off the extra. And I'm going to take the scissors and round the corners of the label. I do have a corner round punch, but this was just a little too small, so we're doing it the old-fashioned way. And there you have it, our little label. I'm just going to go ahead and tape this down right in the center. And there you go, our little tag is done. All we have to do now is tuck our little ephemera pieces right into those belly bands. There you go. Next, we're going to go ahead and start decorating the pocket. And to do that, I'm taking this little tag and I just punched a small hole right in the center of the top of it. And I'm actually punching a few more because I wanted to string this with ribbon instead of hemp, and the ribbon's a little bit big, so I'm just kind of widening this little hole punch up here so that the ribbon will fit through it. And using that long thin piece, we're going to be doing a looped knot. So what you do is you fold the little ribbon in half and poke it through, and then you just grab the ends and pull it through the loop that is left on the back side, like so. And just pull it tight. And there you have it, a little looped knot. I'm going to cut off some of this extra since it's a bit long. So it should look like this when you're done. And I'm going to glue this down into the corner of the pocket. And using a bit of that sari silk scrap that we still had left over, I'm just putting that on top of the tag, making a little label here. Gluing that down in the center. And then taking our journal word and gluing that right on top. Alright, so we're going to flip and skip the lined pages and go ahead and glue this down, or tape, whichever one you like. Alright, now that that's secure, we can go ahead and tuck our little tag right in there. And there you have it, that page is finished. So we can go ahead and start working on this clock one, which I love so much. So we're going to use a blank tag and a couple of fussy cut roses and this little ephemera piece. Also another journal word. And this clock face that comes with the kit. And I'm also using a brad as the clock hands. And we're using a bit of puffy tape so that the clock hands will be able to spin. A little bit of cheesecloth for decorating. Alright, so to start we're going to take the tag and glue our Fussy Cut Flowers down to the center of it. Alright, now that those are stuck on, we can start working on the clock. So I used a micro hole punch. You could also use a needle or an awl, and poked a hole right in the center of it. And using the brad, we're going to go from the back and poke the little hands out and bend them down so that they are flat. And these brads are pretty flexible, so I just went ahead and sort of pushed them into more of a clock shape, bit of an angle, and now they should spin freely. Now we're going to take that double-sided sticky tape and we're just going to cut off a couple of really small pieces to attach to the back of the clock. You can pick this up at pretty much any hardware store or craft store. Peel peeling off the back, and we're just going to turn it over and stick it down in the upper center since we're putting a little tag on the bottom, or a little label, excuse me. And we're going to take this little ephemera piece and glue it down to the bottom here. And I'm taking this piece of lace, gluing that on top of the ephemera, and then adding our journal word on top of that. And there you have it. Our little tag is finished. Okay, so grabbing a bit more of that cheesecloth and another smaller piece of cheesecloth, we're going to decorate our page with a label at the top. Grabbing another journal word and our suitcase, we're going to tape down that small piece of cheesecloth at the top. And we're going to glue down the journal word on top of that. Pretty simple. Alright, so next we're going to take some tape and tape down that larger piece of cheesecloth. And here I'm just pulling out some strings to make it look a little more distressed at the top. And we're going to go ahead and tape our tag right on top of that. When you're done, you should have something like this. Pretty cute, huh? Alright, so flipping forward a couple of pages to another blank page, we're going to work on this tag, and this is the piece that we cut out earlier, so we're finally using that. A little bit of ribbon, some Fussy Cut Flowers, and a small button. And again, I got this ribbon from Walmart, so pretty easy to find. And we're just cutting out a small square and putting it right in the middle. And we're going to be gluing the sides and the bottom only, since we're going to be tucking the fussy cuts into the top. And we're going to glue down that little paper cutout from earlier right in the center of the ribbon, and the little button in the center of the cutout. Gluing everything down and tucking in our fussy cut roses right at the top there. And there you have it. The tag is finished. And we're not going to be decorating this pocket. We're just going to tape it down, make sure it's good and stuck, and tuck our tag right in there. And I decided not to decorate this pocket because we're actually using another striped pocket on the other side, so it kind of has a mirrored effect that I sort of liked, so I'm just leaving it plain. So for the second side, we're going to grab some ephemera pieces and another journal word, a tag, and a striped pocket to match the other side. And a little bit of this lace again as well, some cheesecloth, and some of this pink ribbon. You're also going to need an eyelet and an eyelet punch if you would like, but it's optional. And I'm going to be cutting this ephemera piece to look like a ticket, so I'm just cutting off the sides to make it a bit thinner, and then I'm using a hole punch to punch out the corners. If you have a spare ticket you can use, that would work too. So taking the tag and some of that pink lace, we're just going to glue it down to the bottom, and we're only gluing the sides. We're not gluing the whole thing because we're going to use this like a tuck spot. Next, we're taking a little bit of cheesecloth and gluing it right on top of the ribbon. Again, I'm just putting it on the sides instead of the whole piece because I don't want it to accidentally go through the ribbon and glue that down. On top of that, we are gluing down the ticket and the journal word will be glued right on top of that. And now we're just going to tuck in our little ephemera pieces in sort of a fanned formation at the top. And you could glue these down if you wanted them to stay, but I decided to keep mine loose. And we're punching a hole through the top, and this is where we are putting our little metal eyelet. flattening that out. Just taking that pink ribbon, we're going to tie a bow in the top of our tag. And there you go, finished tag. I like this one a lot, I think it's pretty cute. Alright, like I said, we're not going to be decorating this, just go ahead and tape this pocket down and tuck our little tag into it. Quick and easy. Alright, so flipping to our last blank pages here, we're going to be using a bunch of loose ephemera to decorate these. The inspiration for this was kind of a a stamp collector, or like when you get stamps and stickers and things in your passport. That was kind of what I was thinking of for this. So we're just going to be taping all of our loose ephemera pieces to this page, just sort of willy-nilly, whatever you feel like doing. And I'm going to be taking a bit of puffy tape for a few of these, just to kind of give it a 3D pop effect. I tried using lots of stamps and letters and postcards and things that remind you of travel. And for the second page, we're going to tape down this pocket and just stuff it full of larger ephemera pieces. And I decided to go ahead and use puff tape to stick down a couple of these ephemera pieces down on the pocket itself. Give it a little more character. And there you go. Alright. Last, we're going to decorate the outside of the journal. So for the front, I just punched a hole in the corner of the front flap that folds down, and taking a couple of these ephemera cards and using the micro punch, we're just going to punch a couple of holes in the top of them. And using a little bit of that hemp, we're going to tie these in a bit of a loop. Just threading it through here. Right. And I'm going to be tying a double knot to secure them together. Like this. And then we're going to go ahead and thread it through the hole we punched in the cover and tie it in a loop. And just cut off the extra strings. And there you have it, a little bit of a suitcase charm, suitcase tags. Alright, for the back, we're kind of doing that, traveler's collection inspiration again. Just taking random pieces of ephemera and gluing them on the back. A couple of them I decided to distress the edges with some distress ink. And for this one, I kind of had the inspiration of when you travel, you might take a picture of your family or your friends. So I wanted to cut this out with the hole punch and sort of make it like a, like a locket sort of picture feel. Something someone might take with them. Distressing the edges again and then just continuing to glue pieces on. Alright, there is our finished Suitcase Mini-Journal. I hope you had fun today, and I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe for more, and we'll see you next time. Bye!